Hello there, I'm Scotty, and you're not. Welcome back to the full Moon-A-Thon. Dude, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to announce it. But we are on Trancers. And let me tell you something. This was the first one in this new reviews, in this full Moon-A-Thon that I was like, yeah, this movie's awesome. This is technically Empire Pictures, but being that all of the sequels was all through Full Moon, I'm counting it, okay? So before you people out there, well, actually, this was Empire Pictures. But it was directed by Charles Band, produced by Charles Band, and Empire Pictures is technically Full Moon before they were Full Moon. So before you start wagging your finger at me, I've covered all my bases on that, okay? And this movie stars Tim Thomerson, the doll man himself, as Jack Death, probably the coolest fucking name ever. A cop from the future, which this was originally called Future Cop, and they do say it in the movie. Come on, Future Cop. A cop from the future who was sent back in time to stop a villain named Whistler. And it's not Chris Christopherson. It's some other guy, but Whistler played. And the plan, Whistler controls these Trancers, which are humans that he turns into zombified people, I guess. And he goes back in time because Whistler has gone back in time to inside his ancestors' body to kill the ancestors of the heads of the police. There were 3 of them, now there's 2. So he goes back to stop them, where he meets Helen Hunt, playing the character of Lena. This was Helen Hunt's first film role. I guess they acted on a TV show, I think it was called Just the Two of Us, I think. And Tim Thomerson actually pitched her to Charles Band, so it's good. This was written by the people who did the 1990 Flash TV show, and something that was brought up to me that I hadn't realized until now, but Tim Thomerson actually played Jay Allen, Barry Allen's brother, which he's never had a brother. Well, he has. It's Cobalt Blue, but that's a different story and a different comic book timeline that hadn't existed yet. But as far as I know, by 1990, he didn't have a brother. And both of his parents were still alive. Again, the DC Rebirth changed that. I think DC Rebirth was the one who had Barry's mom died and his dad gets arrested kind of thing. They did it on a TV show. I think they're doing it, at least as far as I know, for the DCEU. They were doing that too. So, yeah. But anyway, enough of the Flash. It behooved me. I was starting to watch the Hack the Movies review, which I hadn't watched. I usually watch all of his, even if I haven't seen the movie. But lately, I've been saying I need to watch the movie first, so I know what's going on. Because usually I'm sitting there going, okay, what's going on? This movie's weird. I need to see the movie first. Like he did one on the Michael Jackson, the Peter Jackson King Kong, which I haven't watched yet. I own it, and one on Scarface, which I also own but haven't watched yet. So I haven't watched those reviews. But I'm in the middle of watching this. I was eating lunch, so I figured I'll watch a little bit of it and do this. So here we are. So he's going back in time. He meets Lena, and he has to stop Whistler, whose ancestor is a police officer, what do you know, and stop him from killing them and changing time, which, spoiler alert, full spoilers for this review, of course, like, only one of them survived, but that doesn't seem to change history at all. I don't know. It's very weird. But yes, and so I like the performance of Tim Thomerson as he comes up with this gruff kind of cop. And I like the first scene. The first scene in this movie sets up what you need to know. His name is Jack Death. He's a cop, and he's looking for Trancers. It has a narration. There's a narration at the beginning, and really, when I was watching this, I thought to myself, what if they did this? They do a narration and they do the opening and then they do him come in and oh, they're gonna die. But what if they did it differently? What if there was no narration thing? Well, there could be a narration. Just have Thomerson be the narrator as he walks into the diner, talking about Trancers, creatures, whatever, and goes in. The whole thing, that we have the scene where it's the diner lady who's the Trancer, not the guy that he's talking to. He defeats her, he singes her, as they call it, and then the cops show up. Art LaFleur plays his McNulty, his boss, and he says he used to be a good cop till his wife died. Now he just kills Trancers. Then you have the title sequence. That would be cool. Either way, it's a cool, fun opening sequence. And then we cut, and we see that this movie is going on the logic that California will eventually sink into the ocean, because we see that Jack Death is diving in Los Angeles, apparently, getting a bunch of hubcaps and straight sign. Look, I keep hearing about this, but everything I hear on the internet, even Tony from Hack Movies was talking about this, that it's not how it works. The tectonic plates, when an earthquake happens, they push together, not apart. So they're not going to break apart. It's going to go up. So anyone who thinks California is going to split, fall into the ocean, which, anyway, why would it fall into the ocean? Because, the whole thing with, supposedly, with history is that the entire continent was one thing called Pangea, right? There's a big old earthy shaky, everything separated. So if a chunk of California broke apart, would it just float off and become an island? Los Angeles Island? Why would it sink into the ocean? An earthquake broke it off. I'm just saying. Just saying. But I'm getting sidetracked. 7 minutes and I'm sidetracked to talk about the Flash, talk about earthquakes. Earthquake! Anyway, I don't know what that was. But anyway, so he gets taken in and he gets told that he needs to go back in time to 1985, which I thought this was in the 90s, but I guess it is 1984, but they go back to 1985, so I don't know. And according to Wikipedia, though, Jack Death is retired, but if he was retired, I don't think it's retired as much as he was. They say he was off the range. He was just hunting down Trancers. He wasn't doing any other police work, so he wasn't really retired as much as he was just sort of a rogue cop. Sorry, that was me. I'm so sorry. But, yeah, so he gets sent back. He's going to be sent back into the body of his ancestor, Philip Death, who just so happens to be getting out of bed after a sexual encounter with Helen Hunt's Lena, who they had just met. And just to go ahead and say it now, they eventually reveal that she is actually his great-grandmother. Yeah, so this whole relationship they have with each other it's the grandfather paradox, basically, is what it is. My own grandfather, they did it on Futurama. It's the grandfather paradox, basically. Those are kind of weird. But, yeah, and she's dressing up as a elf, but she's wearing Santa Claus colors. But, if the elves help to wear green, why is she wearing a Santa Claus suit? But anyway, yeah, this is technically a Christmas movie. I guess. Christmas stuff. And he takes her to work, and he, for some reason, sticks around. He starts to ask her questions, stuff. And it turns out that the Santa Claus is a Trancer, so it attacks him, they have a fight. And during this, he loses one of the pictures, because he gets 2 pictures. One of them is a surfer guy who does the tanning thing. at a tanning works at a tanning place, and the other one is a baseball player who is now homeless. We find out later. So, after being chased off the scene, this is where we find out that Whistler's ancestor is a cop, and he finds the picture of the guy, and so Jack goes to the tanning place and tells Lena to stay there. He leaves the keys in the car because she takes off, and he goes in to talk to the guy, and it turns out the guy is now a trancer. And this was the first thing, and this is only a couple things in this movie that I didn't really like. I'm like, like, him turning him into a trancer kind of negates, like his whole plan is to kill him, so why would he turn him into a trancer? And then Jack he ends up getting killed, not by Jack, but like by Lena, I think. Lena comes in and saves Jack, who's in a tanning booth. Like, the whole thing is burning, but like it burns his jacket, but he's able to still do this a little bit. It's like, how hot is it? But she comes back and she saves him. And they get back in the car, and she does tell him, "Oh, I left," but then the more I thought about your story, the more it made sense. Okay, the more he trusted her, I guess. I guess that connects to it's destiny for her to be connected to Jack, because it's the great grandmother thing. So, yeah, they gotta find a place to hide. So she says, "Hey, we can hide at my friend's place," and we never see like a hide a key or anything. They just go in. How do they get in? They go in. He's watching Peter Gunn. Burn, burn. I recognized the theme song when it was playing. I'm like, that's the Peter Gunn theme. I know, because Blues Brothers. And he likes the show. She turns it off, and they start eating. And like, he makes a comment about like, oh, this is beef chumming. Beef, like cows, and I don't think he really explains why he doesn't eat cows, and they don't eat cows in the future. Maybe there is no cows in the future. That would suck. No more cheeseburgers, boys. No more cheeseburgers. No more steak. That would suck. Let me some steak. Let me some cheeseburger, man. But anyway, so they start to connect, and they're about to, get busy, have sex. Do it. And that's from that 70s show, so you know. Anyway, one of the better things in season 8, by the way. Then you hear this girl's voice. "Come on, Jack, let me in." And he and he opens the door, and there's this little girl there, and it's McNulty, and the only ancestor he had was like a 12-year-old girl or 10-year-old girl, whatever. And it's very much she's dubbed over, because it sounds like a dubbed over voice to sound like a voiceover, like a grown-up female voiceover artist to cover up for a kid voice. Is what it sounds like. Something like Rugrats, something like that, But so yeah, he tells McNulty, "No, I got this." Kicks him out because you're grounded or whatever. Kicks him out, and so then they get back to brass tacks. They get back to doing it, but before he gets to even begin, McNulty comes in and lasers him and sends it back to the future. Now, okay, something I forgot to mention. They do get chased out. He gets this long second where he pushes a button. He gets this long second where he can freeze for 1 second, but it's like a very long thing, and he gets a certain amount of time, a long minute, whatever it is. and he uses that to save her. And I'm like, really? That's what he uses it for? Right away too? Well, apparently the people who wrote this also thought of that and said, oh, because before, like, oh, it's just only half, so use it sparingly, you got to be smart with it. Well, then he uses it here, but then when McNulty sends it back, he say, hey, the long second worked really good, can I get another one? A long minute, whatever. Another one. I'll get one for you and I'll set it back down. So he gets another one, which plays into the finale, but he gets sent back right after they were done having sex. So, sorry, Jack. Phil gets to have all the fun. So they leave right away, and because they realize he sees on the news because he's trying to watch TV. He's like, "Come on, Peter Gunn," trying to find it on TV. Back there in '85, I don't know if the TV guy was probably a thing, but he doesn't know how to use it. There was no guides on the TV. Mom, Peter Gunn, trying to find it, and then he sees a news report about the chief, or the lieutenant, which is Whistler's, technically, is searching the homeless people. So he's got to figure out. So he figures out that the guy's got to be homeless. Here's the thing, though. This is the other thing that bugged me. Villains always finding him. Like, the villains are, like, I get the picture. That's explained. But, like, how did they know the guy was homeless? How? Like, the only thing is, I found his baseball card. How did they know he was homeless? It's not explained. And then later, they find him at the apartment later, too. It's like, but how? I don't know. So they take these guys' motorcycles and they drive off to this abandoned building where a bunch of homeless people are there. And he pretends to be a homeless person, but he uses the word trooper, which convinces the cops, which are actually Trancers, at least one of them is. And they have a fight. He singes him. And then they find the guy. And Hap is his name. And he's a homeless guy, of course. And they are there. But they have to separate on the bikes. And Jack makes it back to Chinatown first with the guy who's looking for mustard for his sandwich, I guess. And then Lena shows up and he's like, he tells her he had a wife and that she died in Angel City in the future. So, and then that's how she figures out that he's in love with her, which is supposed to be Philip. But poor Philip, he's gonna wake up out of this and be very, very confused. Eventually. So Whistler shows up. They have their fight. And again, Lena's about to get killed. She knocked out a window. He uses the long second to go out and save her. And then gets Whistler. But the vial of antidote to send them both back, one of them is broken. So he either has to kill Whistler, which will kill an innocent man. The lieutenant is an innocent man. Or he can send him back, which will also kill him because he destroyed Whistler's body in the future. So, yeah. So he uses the antidote, sends it back. He has no body. He's dead. And he stays behind with Lena, and the movie ends. This movie was good. I'm going to say it's pretty good. I really enjoyed it. John Carl Buechler did the effects. You know, he's the guy who directed Friday the 13th Part 7 and did the effects in that one. He did the effects for Hatchet, done other effects. He's really good. They're not the best. But then again, it's just Charles Band. It's very cheap. So he did the best with what he had. You know, the makeup effects for the Trancers themselves. But I will say, for a movie called Trancers, it is kind of light on the Trancers, which is my final negative. It's only 3 things. It is kind of light on the Trancers. You get one in the beginning, which right away is like, okay. And you get one in the Santa Claus suit. And then there's the cop. And that's it. That's it. And they make a point that Lena can't be tranced because she's strong. Or, in human terms, she's the female lead, so you can't trance her. But yeah, good movie. There are sequels. I will not be covering them in the full Moon-A-Thon, but I will try to cover them in the future, either Tubi Tuesday, or I'm planning on trying to get all the movies on physical media, because I like this one. So, I'm going to try. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on Trancers? Let me know in the comments below. And next, we're going to delve into Full Moon's attempts at rebooting the Universal Monsters. They're doing their own version of the Universal Monsters. And we're going to start with Frankenstein Reborn! With exclamation point. Till then, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.